Hi, I'm Victoria Clark and welcome to The Collectors. Many of us have probably heard sayings like built like a Mack truck or as big as a Mack truck. Sayings that conjure up images of toughness, durability, reliability, things that we as an Australian people have always prided ourselves on. The sayings naturally refer to the Mack truck, which, after more than a century of operation, have built a reputation as one of the most successful and dependable trucks in the road transport industry. Today, we're going to meet a man with a passion for the Big Mack. Not the kind that you find in the drive-through, the kind you find in the shed. Right over there. Darren Hoskins, a Queensland farmer and car enthusiast, began collecting when he was a child, and he hasn't stopped since. At first, I thought this special collection would only be of Mack trucks. Turns out, there's room for more than one type of vehicle in this shed. Hello, Darren.
G'day, Victoria.
Good to see you.
Welcome to our collection.
Thank you for having me. This looks incredible.
Yeah, I think you'll find something that interests everyone here. There's a bit of everything. So it's been a job and a half putting it all together, but it still keeps growing.
Yes, I can tell you got a lot to show me today.
That's for sure, Victoria. Anyway, I've got an ideal spot for us to come and sit down and have a yarn about it and how it's all come together.
Great,
so if you follow me this way, Victoria.
So, thanks for meeting me today. We're sitting here in a Peugeot that's been made to look like a diner.
Yes, this is what you call a cafe diner.
Yeah.
Home built, I can say. My father has a bit of fetish with Peugeot motor cars. He just loves them. And anyway, this was a car that was to be restored, early model Peugeot. And then he noticed in Bundaberg there was a few cars getting cut down and made into these diners, but they were fairly roughly done. So between my father and my other brother Paul and myself, we decided, fuck it, we can do something better. And this car we were going to restore it, but then we just decided against it. We found a better one. Yeah. So then we started working on it and pulling bits off, cutting bits out, and come together, and it is magic.
One of the many things that we're surrounded by today. So tell me a little bit about your collection.
Righto, Victoria. Well, like I say, I started collecting when I was only 12. Still just starting high school, and my father wanted a 2-cylinder John Deere G, the same as he had on the farm when he was growing up. So we started collecting. We found one of them, tinkered with it, like I didn't have much mechanical ability at that stage. And we got it going, and then a John Deere B wanted, and then some of my other mates at high school were starting to collect stationary engines. So I thought, these are pretty neat too. So started gathering a few of them together. And then my uncles, I had 3 uncles, they're all in the transport industry, had trucks, and school holidays we either spent at home on the farm or jump in the truck and go away with them for a week here or there, and just loved it to bits. So then I got an interest for trucks, and then I started collecting them, throwing them together, and once the bug bites you, there's no medical help.
There was no going back.
No going back, and
it just it kept going.
Yeah, and it still is. I love it.
Yeah.
And the best thing I love about collecting the stuff is if I can get the history on it. Like, there's a lot of equipment here I've got, and I've been able to find out the history on it, the family that owned it, what they've done with it. And to me, that means more to me than what the piece of equipment does.
Oh, there's so much preserved here.
Yeah,
there's so many stories.
Yeah. And the best thing about, like, our collection here, it isn't all one item. There's a good variety. There's plenty of brands of every make and model that was made, and it's how life was done. I think today we've got too complicated, and all the simple stuff is gone, which is a hell of a shame.
Within this shed is a physical preservation of the history of the Australian transport industry. There are so many different makes and models of cars, each with its own unique story. Maybe we need to visit Darren's shed again sometime. Darren, tell me about the collection here. Why vehicles specifically?
Well, mainly I've been trying to get a lot of vehicles that are Australian made, which is something of a rarity these days because there's nothing made in Australia anymore. And also a good variety of cars. Like a lot of these motor cars you see here were all built in Australia in a period of time earlier on, and now they're all gone. So that's done and dusted.
Yep.
So yeah, but there are a few overseas motor cars here and everything. It's just whatever takes our eye at the time, and at the right price, it comes to the shed.
That one.
That's about it, Victoria.
So you've got quite the kingdom here, Darren. So you started collecting when you were 12, you said.
Yeah.
When did you start putting all this in here in the shed here?
We built the sheds here probably 5-6 years ago.
Okay, so quite new.
Yeah, this is all reasonably new. Maybe 6 years, maybe a little bit long ago. We built the 2 sheds. My father was living over the other side of Bundaberg at that stage. And there was one large shed there. We started filling it, and with that we wanted to put up more sheds, and it just wasn't working. We couldn't find enough ground, and then a bloke came along and wanted to buy the place, and he had no intentions of selling it, but anyway he threw enough money, so he ended up buying it. So then we had to go and find somewhere else. So this place ticked the boxes, plenty of room, nice and quiet. So started building sheds. And from at least this way you can build a shed the size you want, but like all sheds they're never big enough. And then we started filling it up, and with that, as it started filling, I thought, I still got space, we better buy a bit more stuff.
We can get some more.
And it's just kept growing, Victoria. And same with the other shed up there. And it's bloody terrific.
Oh, there's worse habits to have, you know.
Well, I suppose I could be down there chasing the bloody dish lickers around on a Saturday night, or looking at the race horses or something like that, but that doesn't interest me. But I just love tinkering, and yeah, you get something and think, right, I'll have a crack at this and see if I can get this to go, see if I can make a bit of noise out of it. And yeah, no, it's a bit of a challenge, yeah. Well, I suppose the R700 Mack down the other side, that red Mack there, that was the first truck I bought when I was 19. Worked it for, must have worked 25 years. Over probably some of the roughest roads in Australia, in Queensland, in North Queensland. And that's one vehicle that can't be sold, otherwise I'll have a divorce, because that was my wife's wedding car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And she says if that truck goes, she's going. So.
She's taking it with her.
As a young fella growing up, all my uncles all had internationals. They were on internationals, and Max always took my eye when the first of the B models came out. Well, they were already out before I was born. The first B model hit Australia here in 1952, 53, and they went through until 1966 was the end of the production, and then they started the R model Max. And as a kid, I'd see them getting around on the roads, and they'd make a lot of noise. They sounded good, and it didn't matter what weight they had on them, they could handle it.
It was a bulldog.
Yeah. And I always said to myself, when I get bigger, I'm going to buy one of them.
And now you've got how many?
I think there's about 10 or 12 Max, something like that, yeah. So I didn't get a B model Max straight away. The first truck I bought was an R700, which is down the other end there. I bought that when I was 19. And then we used it on our property, pulling road trains, carting all our own produce. And then I bought a Flintstone, and then eventually got a B model, and I thought, right.
I did it.
I couldn't stop smiling.
That's so great.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
So then I took it home, worked it for probably 5 or 6 years. We were living in a place called Lakeland Downs, 300 k's north of Cairns. We were farming up there for 30 odd years. All dirt roads, corrugations, and in the middle of nowhere, which was bloody fan built. Excellent, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So with that, I got to meet plenty of nice people, that true gentlemen actually in a way, that were in Mack's, and one particular fellow by the name of Barry Clough. He done his time. He was an older gentleman, knew B models backwards, and I got to meet him through one of the truck clubs which I joined. And he said, I always call young fellas boys. Now listen here, boy, you get that truck tidied up, I want to see you at Alice Springs in 2005 for the truckies reunion. And he used to come up to Lakeland every year at winter time to escape the cold where he lived at Gatton. So he sort of kicked me into gear, and we started restoring it in 2005 with the aim to be at Alice Springs in August for the truckies reunion. So we started stripping it back. The cab was in a pretty bad way. I had a lot of trouble with the bottom part of the left-hand windscreen on corrugations. Used to keep popping out and I couldn't work out why. Well, anyway, once we sandblasted the cab, I soon learnt why. It had a bad smash on the left-hand pillar and had been pushed in, but all they'd done is bogged it out just to keep the truck going. So once we straightened the cab out, it was right. And then there was a lot of rust in it, but we worked on it, spent a lot of money, and then got it finished. And it's the only B model that's painted in that radiant blue. Well, it's actually called Crow's blue because one of my uncles had his whole fleet painted that colour, and when I done the R700 up, I decided I just loved that colour, so I painted it, and then the B model the same colour, so it's fleet colours, yeah.
And so the restoration process, do you do all of them yourself, or you've obviously got different people helping you?
Well, it's a bit hard when you're on the land to try and do it all yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not quite skilled enough to operate a spray painting gun.
I don't believe that.
I'll have a crack, but it always ends up with runs. So I try and do as much as I can, tinker with them, make a bit of love to them, make them go, and fix oil leaks, air leaks, whatever needs to be done. And then the paint and panel, I'll normally try and find someone to do it. But no doubt in time to come I'm going to have a crack at it myself. I've started buying a bit of gear. I've got my own sandblasting unit now and starting on it, but yeah, I'll get there eventually.
No, good on you. And how long roughly does it take?
Oh, well, that B model there took us probably three to 4 months. Like I say, the truck was still registered, it was up and running, so there was no major mechanical work to be done to it. It was just the panel work, so that was the slowest part. And the hardest part was trying to find someone that would do it, and then trying to get someone to do it properly. Because the fella that done the truck, he was originally just going to rub it back and paint it. And I said, please don't do that.
Can't polish a turd, you gotta...
Yeah, a truck with this age will have rust under it. So eventually I talked him into it, went and gave him a hand, we pulled the cab off the chassis and sandblasted it, and then once you blast it, all the nasties come out and you think, holy hell, what have I got now?
And they're looking beautiful now. You've done a fantastic job on them.
They certainly do. After a lot of dollars, you throw a lot of money into them.
Gosh, I won't ask about that.
No, please don't, otherwise my minister won't like that idea if she hears that on the air.
And what about any other vehicles? Do you restore those as well yourself?
Look, some of them I do, but to be honest with you, 90% of the time it's cheaper to buy them restored.
Yeah.
A lot of these vehicles in here we've bought that have already been restored. But if it's the right vehicle and it's very hard to find, well, I'll buy it as it is and then I'll start work on it. Mm-hmm. There's a few more Macks that are starting to come into the collection. Well, they should have been here, but anyway, they'll be here in the next month or two. They're quite rare, and I'll just buy them as they are, and then I'll get into them when I get a chance and do them up there.
All right, so we've got the Macks here. I'm sure they've seen some funny stories along in their lives.
They certainly have, Victoria, and that's like, the name in particular on the truck, like Dead on Time, that one up there has got Dieseline Dreams on there. When I do the trucks up, or when I buy a truck, I like to name a truck, and all the trucks are actually named after trucking songs that Slim Dusty sang.
Really?
Yep.
Every single one?
Yeah. That one in particular there, that was, like I say, the first truck I bought and learnt to drive in. Dieseline Dreams, well, if you listen to the song, it's about a father and a son and father's teaching the son to drive. Well, that was about the same as my uncle taught me to drive, and that's why it's got these lean dreams written on the front of it.
Oh, beautiful. Again, coming back to that.
Yeah,
That's the story behind it.
Yeah, that's the story behind the names and everything. So, as I restore them, I like to put a name on them. They all get a Slim Dusty name. One of his trucking songs, I've picked through them. There's 1,000,001 there to get, so grab one.
So, tell me the story behind the logo, the Bulldog logo.
Right, yeah. Now, how Mack ended up with the Bulldog as their emblem, back in the First World War, Mack had their trucks over there in the war front working. They were chain drive back then, a lot different to these particular trucks. Anyway, the English seen the trucks and seen them working, and the trucks were slow, low, and they referred to them as looking like the English Bulldog. So with that, the manufacturer and the American forces heard this, so it ended up getting back to Mack. And with that, they ended up designing a Bulldog to be put on the front of their trucks as their emblem. So the first of the dogs were a lot more rounded than what this is, and they sat a lot straighter. And then as time came along, they got changed. So when this truck came out, they stood them up a lot straighter, and the ears stood up. They're a lot sharper. They stand straight up. And then when the first of the tilt bonneted Macks came out, like that R700 there, people would grab the dog like that to pull the bonnet over to check the engine. Well, with that, a lot of gentlemen were wearing their wedding ring, grabbed the dog, as the bonnet went over, would catch their wedding ring, cut the finger off.
Ooh.
So the later dogs then ended up with rounded ears instead of a sharp pointed ear. So if you have a look on that Mack there, that superliner there, and you have a look at the ears on him, the ears are a lot rounder and a lot shorter.
Don't want anyone losing fingers now.
So no, that's the story on the dog.
Yeah, righto.
And yeah, it started from the First World War, and the English forces seen the trucks and they just referred them as the English Bulldog.
It was both due to the physical appearance and also with how, strong they were.
How strong they were and what they could go and what they could carry and just keep marching on. They were slow, but they were reliable. And the English just referred them as the English Bulldog.
And it stuck.
And it stuck, yeah.
Yeah, great, excellent.
So yeah, so that's virtually from when they first started producing trucks in the early 1900s, and then they came up and then they put the dog on the front. And I always refer to it when I'm travelling. I've got to have my guide dog out in the front in case I get lost, so it's pretty handy. But don't worry,
they'll get you where they need.
Yeah,
they'll
get you. But I think plenty of times I wish they looked the other way, because some of the things that come up in front of them, I'm thinking, holy smokers! I don't think I'd like to be up the front watching that.
The poor puppies.
Yeah. Oh. A gentleman by the name of Ross Drummond, he had a Flintstone Mack, next model after this, with a 250C and a quad box in it, and he taught me how to drive these quad boxes. Anyway, he said to me, because I said to him, all these blokes reckon you need 2 hands to change these sticks. He said, listen here, young fella, you don't. He said, that idea of using 2 hands to change gear sticks, that's only for them blokes who want to romance with themselves. And his hands, like my 2 hands is his 1 hand. And he could play it like a piano. Unbelievable on them 2 sticks.
It's an art form, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And it's lost today, but no, that was his terms. Yep, you don't need 2 hands, boys. That's only for blokes who want to romance with themselves.
Well, on that note, is it all right if we have a look inside,
by all
Darren?
means, yeah, yep.
All right, okay. I might need a boost up, but...
I can remember many a times pulling up at a servo, filling up with fuel, and there'll be a young lassie over there filling the car up with fuel, and you hit that air starter and they just about wet themselves, scream and carry on. And that's what I refer to him as a great bird scarer.
Well, let's see if I wet my pants when it gets started. Okay, here we go.
See what happens. That's how it all happens. But no, it's a bad disease. Once you got the bug, you can't get rid of it. Like, there's no medical help for it.
Oh, you don't want to get rid of it though.
No, I don't. And I suppose what I do like about it is the stories that go with it, the history.
Because if you stop collecting all those stories that are still out there waiting to be told,
Yeah,
they might never, they could fade away. So.
That's right. And another thing is I've got a couple of kids and they're both interested in it, which is a big help.
Yeah, so what happens next? You'll pass this collection down through the family? Yeah, great.
And the two kids, they're starting to collect a bit of gear on their own now, which is terrific.
Good on them.
So yeah, no, it's going to keep going. That's what it's about.
That's great. They'll join the collection here, or they'll great.
Like, I suppose when I'm pushing daisies up, I've got no control over. They might decide to have a fire sale, I'll make a few dollars. Well, good luck to them.
It'll take a while to get through all this.
They certainly won't be doing it while I'm around, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. Thank you so much for having us out here, Darren.
No worries, Victoria.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out and having a look. And
Absolutely.
There you can see exactly what we're up to.
Yes.
And it just keeps filling up. Yes. Please come back again.
I'll be back. Absolutely. Thanks,
Righto,
Darren.
Victoria. All the best, hey.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
There's no doubt that Darren's collection of Mack trucks is a labour of love for the marque, and his dedication to the restoration of these vehicles shows his extensive knowledge about the strong and at times harrowing history of the brand. Do you have a collection? We'd love to share your story with our community, so if you do, reach out to us via email and tell us a little bit about your collection. Till next time, I'm Victoria Clark and this has been The Collectors. Bye for now and take care.